focus on two different aspects of your work that are current topics in the world of schools. The first one is teacher evaluation. If you recall yesterday, I told you that the most important job that you have is to keep the noise away. The noise of the politics and the reform and the changes that are swirling around above us. So how can you preserve the integrity of your staff and your school despite or in addition to the push right now to measure all teachers based upon test scores? And so you're going to hear from some of your colleagues about how they're doing that using a technique that we started at LaGuardia maybe 20 years ago called peer review, very much based upon the way the college does hiring and assessing of college faculty for tenure and promotion. There are 4 people here who have had peer review in place. They come from 4 different school systems around the country. For your morning pleasure, I have today John Starkey, Principal of International, Nick Mazzarelli, Maddie Adams, and Greg Brown from Ohio.
I'm from International High School at LaGuardia Community College, and I believe we're the first school to start the peer evaluation process. We call it the PET process. So our peer evaluation consists of a self-evaluation, student evaluations, peer evaluations, administrative evaluations. And so when the peer comes in, are they able to talk with that teacher that they're observing about who are the struggling students in the class? Maybe there's some students that are very introverted, that aren't talking much. What is that teacher doing to differentiate the lesson to be able to address the needs of those learners? Perhaps it's the grouping of students. Maybe there's a group of students that all speak the same language, and initially that was a great strategy to have them buddy up, but now they're not using English as a vehicle for communication. They're using one another in a sense as a crutch just to be able to communicate more easily. So how can we give feedback to those teachers through the peer evaluations and the administrative evaluations of how to have more heterogeneous groupings so that they can be with other kids where they have to use English to be able to accomplish the goal or the meaningful task that we've created.
The peer review team consists of 3 people, a chair, a content specialist, and a 3rd teacher. They participate in 3 to 4 short visits of the class, and what we're all about is best practices, especially for our untenured and our younger faculty. They've been with us a year. They've watched a peer review process go around, and now 2nd year they're going to be reviewed themselves. So I don't need to tell you how nervous they are, and the anxiety level is just unbelievable. I mean, some of them go in and they start shaking, talking to their colleagues. I guess you've experienced that at your school. We calm them down, and again, we're looking at best practices. So the team goes in, they come up with a series of questions that are going to be asked, and then we present it. We have an annual retreat every year. When we had money, we were able to do it for a weekend. Now this year, we're doing it for a day. But at least it's a retreat where the teachers get out, a room something like this, and we do a fishbowl. We have the team and person that's being reviewed, and we do it in front of the entire faculty.
This has been a teacher-run program where it's completely focused on teachers and teacher growth. So Cece asked me to speak on, in a very regulated system like LA, what does the peer review process provide for your school? We have 2 governing committees at Harbor Teacher Prep, a personnel committee and a professional development committee. And the personnel committee, for the most part, takes on the responsibilities of the peer review process. The peer review process has really been very helpful to me as an administrator because there's absolutely no way that I can have a fully functioning school without the teachers taking ownership for the teaching and learning among their peers, for the effective issues, I remember one year in the peer review panel, one of my teachers had the students, or many of the teachers wrote about how sarcastic one of our teachers was. So that gave that entire committee an opportunity to talk about sarcasm and the whole affective domain of how we communicate with students and how to best engage them. So not only did the teacher going through the peer review process learn from that experience, but through the reflection and communication, all the teachers on that committee had an opportunity to learn and share. So, you know, I'm really happy once again for having the peer review, and it's really a program that you all want to invest in because it does help your teachers grow as individuals, and it helps them to take ownership for each other.
First and foremost, the entire process focuses our teachers' attention on the main goal of our work, which is the growth mindset that we're trying to pass along to students. The notion that all of our students are capable of advancing in their knowledge, not just their acquisition of it, but their demonstration of knowledge from where they are right now to where they can be, will be, need to be to succeed in college, to become leaders in our community, et cetera, that this is a process that if they haven't known they were engaging in up to this point in their schooling, that from this point forward we want them to engage in, and that's to grow, to always be learning. So for us to ask our teachers to also participate in a process in which they examine their own work and examine their own learning and learn from it only makes sense that they would have the opportunity to develop a certain empathy for what their students are going through. For this to happen, though, there has to be an enormous amount of trust. And relational trust is the bedrock of all of our work. From day one, our teachers are hired by the rest of the staff. The two things that I think I'd like to kind of end with on this are that having trust for first-year teachers, of course they don't know any better not to trust us, right? But having an environment in which they can feel that it's okay to try something, see if it works, explore that with somebody else, to say to somebody, I don't know what I'm doing here, can you help me out? All of that is engendered through the peer review process as a way to help them grow, which then models for our kids that this is what we're about, this is what you can be about.